Dplus up against Spacestation Gaming. One of these teams is going to be packing their bags and on their way home by tomorrow. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's try and see what's going on here. Ginny, Am, and Jesse. See, I got it right this time around because it's not an EUL match. Yeah, there we go. I mean, when we're looking at SSG, they've had a visible mental barrier in the last couple of performances.
Yeah, especially that game yesterday. They faced off against Wolves and had a very, very difficult game. And you could see that it was hitting them on the mental aspect as well, because players were repetitively dying to the same traps that were set up. There were incomplete site setups. I mean, if you have a downstairs defense and your mirror shotgun has not made holes on towards the mirror towards laundry, that's a bit odd. They had a Monty pushing in solo with no real help from the teammates being close around it. And I just hope for SSG that they can recover from that yesterday.
Yeah, I think SSG versus Wolves looked more like a 10-man co-op mission to end that game as fast as possible. It was really rough from SSG. And I recall back to a quote from SSG's former coach, Lycan, back on Twitter earlier in the tournament. He talked about how a lot of the kind of APAC teams coming in have been using a lot of gimmicks, a lot of shortcuts to try to get these rounds on. And that really is what it felt like for Spacestation yesterday. They were doing a lot of these, gimmicky rounds where they're not bringing operators that are typically seen on that map, trying a lot of creative strategies that were not landing at all for them. So I'm hoping we see them dial it in a little bit. Spacestation have always been a creative team, and it's been great for them so far in the NAL, but it's not going to be consistent. And now that you're in a best of 3, you need to make sure if it isn't working, that you switch that up and try something new.
Yeah, maybe they were just learning. Or maybe like Doki said, it was a warm-up game. But they're going to be heading up against Dplus, and that's another one of the teams that we've had maybe some questionable positioning from.
Yeah, when that game yesterday finished, I had a few question marks about the decisions being made within Dplus. I mean, if we highlight, for example, Woogieman, right? A player that has a really good performance so far on this roster. But then on that game yesterday, he was put on operators like Smoke, put in positions where he doesn't really get any assistance from his team, and he's just let there to die all by himself, whilst he should be the star player on that roster in terms of statistics. And then they also had these site setups sometimes where they had left obvious gaps that Scars would really empathize and really utilize, basically. And also just lines of sights that no one was watching, giving free real estate to the players of Scars.
There's definitely been some mistakes coming in from dpluskia, but I do think overall they've got a lot of talented players. I think Yas has been, throughout the Korean League and throughout this major so far, a really star player for them. His entries have been fantastic. He likes to get in, he likes to find those picks early. I think that sometimes when Dplus will lose that entry, when Yas goes in, doesn't find that pick, they stall a little bit, and I'm hoping we don't see a whole lot of that. If they're not up against a team like Falcons where they're just kind of being given swings and they can shut that down, if they lose that entry, oftentimes what we're seeing is they're just kind of not getting those pushes together, stalling out a little bit too much. So that's what I'm looking for today. I want to see that being a little bit reined in, a little bit more cautious, and if they do lose the ass, somebody else steps up.
Okay, so we're looking at both of these teams to kind of bring back some of the performances that we're used to rather than coming out and trying new things. With the map veto coming through, we're going to be heading to Oregon. Pretty staple. Are we expecting crazy things here?
Well, it'll be Oregon 3rd if we get there. I know you're
it's a best of 3.
You think it's going 1-1. I understand you.
I mean, I think for Dplus, looking at the map and veto, if it gets to a 3rd map, it's going to be difficult. They might have to clear it in 2. If you look at that decider, we'll look at it later, starting out with Border first. It is a pick by SSG. It is their highest preference map. Their map pool looks a little bit weaker maybe at times, but this is a map that they do seem to like. It is a victory for Dplus as well. Dplus themselves, they pick Villa. They have some victories on this map against Falcons, against Sandbox, and that, in comparison, is a lower preference map for SSG, so it should be a good showing for Dplus.
Yeah, it does bring the question, though, the wins against Falcons and Sandbox, both are the teams that are not here anymore.
Yeah, and I guess kind of same for the decider for SSG, because if you do end up going to Oregon, yes, SSG have a 6-2 track record on it, so 6 wins, 2 losses, but those are against teams like Elevate, Rent-Free, and they had a loss against Wolves. Are those really the top teams that you have taken a victory from then?
That's a good question. Let's bring in our casters, see if they agree whether or not these are the top teams that they've taken a victory from or not.
Why do we always get presented with a direct question?
Fine. How are you guys feeling today?
Great.
Amazing. You guys look really happy to be here, so I'm going to let you do the thing.
Thank you, Jenny. Go on, Tim. What?
SSG versus dpluskia.
The thing.
On paper, it's looking pretty one-sided, if we're honest. dpluskia have struggled so far. We cast them just the other day against Scars. It wasn't a good performance from them. Sorry, dpluskia. I'm one of the biggest supporters over the last couple of years, but I've got to say it as I see it, and it wasn't fantastic. It certainly wasn't.
Now Tim is at the end of his rope.
Okay. It's, you know, it wasn't the best that we've seen from them. It wasn't as good as they can produce. We know this. You know, the analysts have just raised a couple of very good points there about, you know, potentially players in positions. Is everybody in the sort of optimum, you know, where we can sort of see the best from them. We're going to see as we come into this. SSG, by contrast, I'm not going to paint much of a prettier picture for them, to be honest. They've had an up and down, bit of a roller coaster ride so far, including, I'll say it quietly, an 0-7 loss. But the thing for me for SSG is, again, another very, very good team. When we've seen them on their day, very exciting to watch, very good stuff building. It's just consistency at the minute. It's getting that performance in regularly. I honestly think, I've got a feeling, Des, we are going to see one of the good SSG days today.
I think with the draft and the way it's gone, I'm completely on board with that as well. Border is SSG's best map. You look at the stats, highest preference, decent win rate on it as well. It's just one that I look at and say, how the Nora have the other side let this get through. So we'll see how well they can deliver here today. If that first map goes their way, I think they could very well turn around and roll it into a second. You know, Villa, not quite their strongest map, but it's still up there around a third or fourth preference, the same as dpluskia. So based on the draft, I think I'm expecting a 2-0. I know backstage we've been speaking about this, Tim, and a 2-0 does feel like it's on the agenda. However, there have been plenty of surprises and upsets at this competition. And something tells me I wouldn't be hugely surprised if it turns out to happen in this series here.
One thing that we've had consistently at this competition, and we picked up on it in the last game, is quick games.
Very quick games.
You know, you look at these games at the beginning of the day, and I said it yesterday, I had a terrible day on my predictions yesterday, 3 out of 8, an absolute nightmare. Doing much better today, but I look at it and the games are so 50-50 on paper when you look at them, you know, but one way or another, teams just seem to come in and either fold or just roll over other teams. And it's been very, a lot of one-sided games that we've seen.
Before we get into the game,
I think that'll sort of taper off now. We're getting towards the best.
Before we get into things, can I ask, have you had any of that Fax Condi yet, the drink here in Denmark?
Other drinks are available.
The other drinks are available?
I have had a little bit of it, yeah.
Fax Condi is banging.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Please drink Fax Condi if you come to Denmark. It's actually changing my life right now, and I'm really sad that we don't have it in the UK. Early little spawn pick attempt coming out from Merc. As you can see, taking down quite a bit of shit damage on the attempt there as well, just being read into by the members of dpluskia. So in terms of the defense that you're seeing in this round, nothing too surprising here to see Fultz holding up inside of CC, trying to contest down towards break room. He has already dipped himself away here, knows the pressure coming from multiple angles. You can be pressed from the west main window, the west main doorway, the break room door. Just lots of things can work against you very quickly. So being able to rotate here in towards 90 through a very common rotate that you can see right here on your screen. Very, very standard kind of setup for this site.
It's going to be for for dpluskia. Slipping into old ways. It's too easily done.
Too easy.
Too easily done. dpluskia, it's about getting into the building. It always is on border. The fights largely come about once the attackers get established. It is a lot more difficult for the defenders to win once they've got their beachhead and they can build from there. So the defense of SSG, they want to prevent dpluskia getting too comfortable inside of the map, meet them at the boundaries as much as they can. Now then, that's an interesting angle from Woogieman there, all the way through into archives, and he picks it up just as I say it. Manages to get a nice kill onto J90 to kick things off.
Those kind of angles are why a lot of teams really dislike border. Is pretty much everything through the entirety of this top floor is soft. It's very easy to get these longer angles opened up. Yep, of course you can reinforce some of them off, but it doesn't protect you from every single angle going. So you can find some long cross-map kills if you're not too careful. Forest being shit down here by Soldier, I imagine it is, as in comes Coated. Finds Fultz as well. dpluskia. The tempo in this round a little bit, I don't want to say strange, but it's definitely unsettling. SSG look a little bit confused as to what's going on. Swinging on towards Harper, but not finding a single shot. Hot and cold is all that is left as SSG start cold and dplus coming hot.
Certainly do. dpluskia, what a start it is from them coming into this. I've just spoken about how I expected SSG to maybe have one of their better days today, but after round one, certainly didn't look like that. Not the strongest start. They almost suffered a flawless round at the hands of dpluskia, and dpluskia just seems to have woken up, and I tell you what a time to do it, Des. If this is the point in the tournament that they say, right, this is where we start turning things around, save themselves from not disqualification, but save themselves from getting knocked out. Elimination is the word I was looking for. Thank you very much.
No, I got you.
That's why I bring you. But yeah, that's, you know, we've got to remember these are the stakes. Every time you see a best of 3 map here in Copenhagen, somebody could go home, and that's the reality.
Well, the great card now reads no longer D+. We're up to C+, given that little start of a performance. I know yesterday a few, after their defeat, were saying, oh, more like D-. Very understandably so. But a good first convincing round. We see 2 or 3 of those. I reckon you will see an early tap timeout coming in from SSG. I speak about this a lot. I love the post-round 3 tap timeout from teams that find themselves falling behind. You've played a quarter, or you've played 3 sites that you tend to see teams on. That's a good chance to reflect and amend going into the next 3 rounds, where chances are you will repeat the same 3 sites once more. Let's see if anything changes up, though. Again, very heavy intel game coming out here for SSG, looking in towards the Valkyrie, the Solis, for example. Really doubling down and getting behind that information to help spot out exactly what's going on, because as I said, the pacing was a little bit strange in that last round from D+, not in a bad way, but it was in a way that really unsettled SSG, and they weren't quite sure how to react, it seemed. A little bit panicked almost.
I mean, if you remember at the beginning of the game, like as if it was a long time ago, 1 round ago, I said coming in here on border, an important thing for the defenders is to prevent the attackers getting in and getting established. You want to meet them at the boundaries, you know, fight them out of the map as much as you can. And I don't feel like that's something that SSG did, and dpluskia really, you know, got dividends paid from that, because they got themselves in pretty easily. There was no real fight. There was an attempted spawn peek from Merc to begin with, but beyond that, there was no real challenge for dplus getting inside of the map, and I think that's something that SSG need to change quickly.
I was about to say, I'm so ready for Yas to run this second Bravo drone into another mute jammer. There was the one, I think, that was positioned inside of Workshop, inside Bent, sorry, that caught that first one out, and I thought he was going to roll the second one straight into the same fate. Hot and cold, a pretty cheeky angle here, so hoping to find a couple of drones, and there we go. Drone discovered, drone taken out.
Going to be getting himself another one by the looks of things. If it comes around the server stack, he's going to have a bit of support from above. Fultz just missing the...
This is infuriating.
Just missing...
They're just missing a Flores to make this a full Robot Wars team.
Yeah, there's a lot of information and intel going to be coming into the attackers of dpluskia. They haven't got themselves established quite as quickly, but it's Wookieeman once again, Des, that gets himself into a spot that could be very, very tricky for SSG. There we go. It's almost as if I spoke it into existence again. This time it's hot and cold rather than J90.
It's the second round in a row again where Woogie's found that long-range kill too, just getting himself into a uncomfortable position for the defensive side and taking the long-range firefights, coming out on top. Now Merc's running straight into an angle being held out. Now J90's here to go for the trade and makes it happen as well. Didn't expect to find a second player, and he'll get Merc back on his feet. Massive turnaround for SSG.
Yeah, SSG really starting to improve and to settle into this game a little bit more, which is what they needed. And if you notice, a lot of those kills are coming around the breach walls. They're coming around those entrance points into the map, and SSG able to get out there towards those boundaries and make it difficult for dpluskia to feel comfortable inside of things.
Oh,
there is going to be a smoke grenade goes off, but Harper's actually going to take the rotate rather than challenging the hatch, and instead he's going to try and find a little bit of action from the main door, but unlikely to be successful as SSG, they're happy to sit back here, Des, with 10 seconds.
You might as well try and go for a plant here. At least you got some assistance, but no! Steps forward and gets crossfired off the back of it. There's no way he wins out against both here. Just these last few members of SSG hiding in the shadows and striking at the right time.
A lot better from SSG there. As I said, they got a little bit more aggressive within the round. They took the fight to dpluskia, you know, towards those entry points of the map. They were getting in, but they were not really too comfortable once they did. There were challengers coming into them immediately, and SSG just putting them sort of, you know, forcing them onto hot coals almost. As soon as they got in, they were having to maneuver, having to change. There you go. And nowhere was really safe for dpluskia that time. And at least 2 kills come in at sort of boundary and entry points like this.
It's beautiful stuff, absolutely. I mean, really, now you've seen a kind of a dominant round on either side. I know that round had a couple of moments in the middle of it that looked a little bit ropey for the side of SSG. Namely, if Merc had been finished off out on East Main and then the J90 trade coming in didn't come to fruition, that would have been a very, very different story. Because actually, as that trade kill came in, we saw the call come in from the DKB. That would have really given everything away. So you're looking at a few hundred milliseconds there to make a big difference in the outcome of the round. Just showing between these two teams how close it can still really be.
Round 3 then, it is going to be the final rotation choice, potentially, that we will see out of SSG. We've already seen Armory, we've seen Ventilation. This time it's going to be Bathroom and Tellers. We are yet to see, I believe.
Don't. Fresh will get upset.
Yet to see Customs. Fresh is sat there waiting for his bingo.
There's 2 sites we need, right?
There's 2 sites.
Supply and Customs, and then Bedroom on Sky.
Yeah, Bedroom and...
all we need.
So Fresh is going to be waiting with bated breath, I'm sure, to see if that one pulls off. But interestingly, detention has been left soft at the minute, so that's going to be a potential route of ingress for dpluskia if they recognise that. Could get through there quite quickly. They've got the soft breach of Ash, put a little bit of lateral pressure on. They are going to need to take top floor. The office hatch is particularly important here if you're trying to get a plant down, trying to hold on to a plant. So they are going to want to get that area, but it could be a good start for them just to put a little bit of unexpected pressure, because in round 2, don't forget, as I said, at least 2 of the kills for SSG came at entry points into the building. So if dpluskia can maybe do something a little less expected, it might help them get established.
Here we go. He must know. Sees the man's shoulder, and Merc just showing a little bit too much of himself there to Woogie. Absolutely a good start. Is that the 3rd entry in a row for Woogie, by the way?
It is indeed.
Man's on fire. Interestingly, in their game yesterday, I think he was like 1-8. It really wasn't his day.
And they're all on to different SSG players, so he's just making his way through the roster at this point.
Man gets a buff for each different unique SSG player that he brings down, so he's just slowly working his way through a hit list at this point. But yeah, he's a big player that we need to see really step up today. It was Soldier that kind of woke up and made an appearance yesterday, but as a supportive player, you want to see a little bit more from really entry. So, I mean, Woogie's playing flex, not even playing entry, but he may as well be the entry for how chaotically Border can play out sometimes. But Yas is the main entry you're looking towards to really shine.
Still 5 versus 4, as dpluskia have not yet managed to solidify that man advantage that they got. They will continue for the time being, moving pretty slowly. 2 minutes into the round, still trying to get that top floor control. They haven't got Armory locked down yet. We've still got Forest playing inside of the small office there. I'm not sure if they're aware, and that could be particularly dangerous. Fultz is here inside the big office, and he is still going to hold on for the time being. It's Hot and Cold, actually, that's taken down. The Azami will continue to play here. You can just see the little playground that Fultz made for himself with all those Kiba barricades there, just trying to create new angles and new cover. Manages to drop down, find a kill as they try to push directly into sight. That's not too bad for SSG, actually. With 30 seconds left to go, it brings them back to 3 versus 4.
I can't really tell if this is intended chaos or not, but I spoke about the weird kind of tempo in round 1. It's the same here, where dplus kind of step one player forward for a kill, and they drop back. Then another player steps forward, they drop back. It's not like they're all committing towards a push at the same time, and that normally is bad, but it's getting them kills so far. My only concern here is the clock is now really against them. They've got 10 seconds to make a push work, and they're not going to have enough time, Tim. There's only 5 seconds left. They find themselves a second, but it's J90 on site, cleaning house, and somehow dplus, despite finding 2 kills in the mid-round, can't convert.
Yep, too little too late there from dpluskia. Like you say, they got kills, but they never really did anything with them. They never went and took control of anywhere. We saw Fultz ultimately dropping away from office, but it was very late in the round. Forest was never really forced out of small office, and dpluskia never really had a comfortable hold on that top floor with which to build from to get that diffuser down, and ultimately they saw what happens when you try to just drop the hatch without proper control and try and throw the diffuser down. It's not going to work for you. And SSG, they were pretty calm in that to say that they were 3v5 at a point. It was a nice turnaround from them.
It was, yeah. Again, for dplus, a little bit of a kicker because they played it so well on the upstairs, just slowly poking their way forward, waiting for swings and rotations to come out of the boys and SSG. But fundamentally, when it all really matters the most, dplus cannot convert the round. That's our first quarter down and dusted then, Tim. That means we get a bit of a reset of the site, starting things back upstairs once again. Kicking things off inside of Armory and Archives. Now, on the side of SSG, once again, we're seeing the Solus. It's been a bit of a staple for them. We've seen it across a few of these rounds now, just using it more for the information game. You've seen the game plan that comes out of dplus. That kind of slow creep forward, like poke at one player, poke at another, hopefully get a couple of kills off the back of it. That's worked well so far. the information that Hot will be serving back and forth to his team should help them find, or at least prevent being so heavily shut down by these members on Dplus.
Yeah, you would have thought so. Obviously, this was the site that dpluskia won back in round 1, and they were able to get themselves established pretty easily. There wasn't too much of a challenge from SSG onto those entry points. They kind of invited them in, and dpluskia hurt them once they'd got themselves set up. So I'd like to see a little bit more aggression, more similar to what we saw in round 2 from SSG. You know, just preventing dpluskia getting themselves settled inside of the map.
There we go.
This is exactly it. This is. I'd love to see this from Merc.
Well, this is the same spot we had last time. It was Fultz on the mute previously playing in this position, but if you remember, he rotated out towards 90 quite early, whereas here, he's gone deep inside of security instead. So for all Dplus know, if they haven't drawn this out properly, they're about to walk into an early grave.
Yeah, exactly that, and this is what I like. SSG holding on to this much tighter, like you said, than they did last time around. We're a minute into the round. We haven't got an opening kill yet. Merc's going to continue playing onto that break door. A little bit of cover offered from the keeper barricade that Fultz has given him. Fultz goes for a little look, knows that he can't stray too far because that notification is very, very quick now. Woogieman looking for another opener, but he's not going to find it. Just misses his opportunity. Merc, he's dancing back and forward, but don't forget, a lot of time is being wasted here. Hot and Cold picks up the opener, and this time it's Woogieman who suffers, and Hot and Cold, he goes in for some more Des and takes down Soldier.
It's flank on flank on flank, and it's a battle for the break room. The fight over the kettle really is heating up in the office, but it's SSG who are claiming all the table stakes. Only Harper left alive, and I love the move from SSG there, going super aggressive to support themselves inside a break room, and really everything spun on that dime of East stairs. Woogie got into a good spot, but once we had that flank coming up behind him, there was no kind of external support to help those that were playing out on the balcony trying to get inside a break. Just a very good dynamic defense coming out of SSG, and Dplus really got to start pulling some ideas together here.
Yeah, it's the extra aggression that I wanted to see out of SSG compared to round 1, where they didn't really hold on to those key positions. Much better from them this time and winning out gunfights as they go. Harper's going to try and work his way in on the Ash, see if he can find anything, but anything he does find is likely to be a consolation at this point. 30 seconds left to go. He does have diffuser in hand. I mean, that's some outside thinking, but it's one thing to his credit at least, I guess, but no, he's going to take the opportunity to sit back and just see if he can pick himself up a cheap kill or two, and then who knows in the last 10 seconds, but doesn't look like that's likely to happen.
No. I think for Dplus here, timeout probably is the go-to call. Realistically, where I feel they've fell down quite a lot in this round is the simplicity, the lack of complexity to their attacks. You know, they've stationed 3 players on the break room door. They've sent Woogie off towards East stairs. If that fails, it's like, oh, well, we still have nothing else to work with. And a lot of that, I think, came from the kind of false pressure coming out of Fultz. Once he had that half-run-out attempt coming onto West Main, they just knew, okay, we can't easily push up towards West Main here. We go up that long balcony outside, we're completely exposed, and he'll have us for dinner absolutely for free. So they were limited in options. They had really one angle to work with once they lost his first player. As soon as Hot and Cold gets the second kill, it's done and dusted from there. So more ideas needed, a bit more creativity, a little bit more urgency, I feel, as well. Also needed in there. Oh, no. I'll say, please don't do it like this.
Not being left hanging there.
Tim.
No, I'm gonna. No.
Tim, no, Tim, no, Tim,
no,
Tim,
too easy.
Tim,
too easy.
Tim.
You remember that time you turned my microphone off, Des?
Yeah, I remember.
Enjoy it.
I got it on video.
Enjoy it. SSG then 3-1, and a much better couple of rounds for them after the opener that they had in the first. They're going to head down to Ventilation and Workshop. They won this in round 2, much more aggressive as they were in the last round about holding on to that top floor. You know, a much better round, took the gunfight.
Remember that time I turned your mic off, Tim?
Such a child.
I just realised, I was like, oh, I'm next to the control boxes.
And I was just stood there for a second thinking, should I go and fist bump him now? I feel a bit mean.
No, don't bother.
I don't feel mean at all anymore.
So you shouldn't, Tim. So you shouldn't. All right, let's look at some of the added complexity coming into this round from Dplus then. Again, what I want to see is a little bit more of a multifaceted attack. They kept it nice and simple in round 1 and 2, and SSG have now started saying, right, well, let's just throw people towards these angles and really look to contest them on their entry into the building. And as you saw in that last round, it worked out beautifully. They've got that extra extra step to work through here where they've got to get top floor control first and then worry about the downstairs. But looking back at Bastard and Tellers, looking back at this site last time round, that really was where things fell apart, and they're trying to get a little bit cheeky on the jump out there. Coated a little bit too wise to these kind of shenanigans. They're used to that sort of thing, Tim, over in Korea.
They certainly are, and I know I've asked for aggression from SSG, but we don't need to go that far.
A second
Let's
jump out.
rein it back into round 4. That was perfect, but we are going to see Coated get down outside. There's an opportunity for him to get picked up, I would imagine. I'm not sure if they're aware.
They really want
I know he's certainly looking for the confirmation, but I think dpluskia likely, there we go, get Coated back onto his feet, 20 HP. But not the end of the world. It sends a message from SSG. It says, you know, yeah, we can play that style, we can get ourselves in unpredictable places, and you need to watch over your shoulder, and it will just burn more and more time for dpluskia.
Woogie's being so cheeky here as well. I mean, the fact they've had 2 players go for a jump out SSG in this round, and they got the down on the second jump out. All right, you lost a man at first, but at least you've got something back in terms of HP onto Coated. Still has 2 phone calls in back pocket, so a kill secure onto the DKB, in my opinion, at least would have been more than worth it. Just not quite able to fully convert. Went to that kind of mid-round lull here, whilst Dplus again assess what it is they need to do. They've got the information because the Solus is offline, but they've got to start finding some kills.
Yas is going to go in and do exactly that. Finds his man, takes down Merc. Doesn't go for a second. I kind of like that. He dips out, dips back in, keeping it unpredictable. He's now in a position to find more. Red pings are coming in. He knows there's one back there. Fultz is going to be the one to get taken down by Coated, and that leaves us now in a 5 versus 2. J9O taking damage. His days were numbered, and they counted down. dpluskia with a flawless round to fight their way back in, and it's now 2-3.
Big difference in that round to the previous one for me, information. Yeah, Dplus lost so many drones in round 4. Round 5 there, you saw yourself, the majority of them on site. They knew exactly where these last few players of SSG were, which you saw the call coming in, for example, from Coated. Everything just starts working in their favor from that point forwards. And again, looking back at the jump outs, this is kind of the avalanche that you see in Siege sometimes. That first jump out that came in, the timing on that is so unfortunate. Coated just came up the ladder at the right time. What a killer. And then they couldn't kill confirm onto Coated. He gets a call coming in, which helps his team out. He gets 3 kills for himself in the round. Again, it just goes to show how a couple of bullets being missed in the early round can lead to a round loss.
It does. It just goes to show how vital it can be if the opportunity presents to pick your teammates up. You never know what they are going to go on to do with that 20 HP. dpluskia then managing to keep themselves in touch. I think that was a really important round for them, to be honest with you, Des. SSG go 4-1, and it's starting to look a little bit dire for dpluskia at that point. So final defensive round coming up. SSG will be looking to secure this one, I think. They're going to be confident on the attack of Border. I would expect, as you said at the beginning, there's a map that they've shown us, you know, an ability to play previously. So I'd expect them to be on top of things for attack. If they get a 4-2 half here, then things are swinging heavily in their favor.
I like how they're doubling down on the whole like drone thing as well. Again, the information game from Dplus has been their kind of like crux. I mean, most teams should really be leaning into intel as a thing anyway, but a big time leaning towards that for them to kind of guide and inform their moves forward, to catch out players that are still holding off in less than ideal angles. So here you've got the Solus on side, you've got the Mozzie on side. The Valkyrie's also going to contribute in terms of information, but it just screams to me that on the SSG side, they really want to try and shut this down and keep SSG on the back, keep Dplus on the back foot, sorry.
Yas is getting himself across that top floor. Challenge is going to be incoming pretty soon. It looked like the Solace of Merc ahead of him, if I spotted the silhouette correctly, which I did. Merc's going to drop down. Yas taking a lot of damage for absolutely no gain there, realistically. So,
no idea where he was shot from.
Exactly that. Not even gaining information from it. That's a nice little meeting for SSG as Merc manages to find Coated as well. You commented on the lack of the Solace, but he's going to be found out as Yas goes in and gets the kill, levels things up. Forrest just wasn't there in time to offer the cover.
This is what I was talking about back in round 3. The kind of step forward, poke around, get a kill, then drop back out and join your team again. Like, most teams when they get a kill like that will keep on marching forward. They'll try and capitalize and make it a second or a third kill. But so many times over now, we've seen Dplus find that entry or find a kill halfway into the round or so, then get it, then draw back, straight back on drones. It is very slow and controlled. And again, comes back to what I spoke about for teams like NIP, like Virtus Pro. This very slow, controlled style is really starting to evolve as we go through the competition.
Boogeyman just seeing the soles of the boots of the man down in customs, I think. Sends out the ping, knows that he's there, but just can't quite get the angle. Doesn't want to give away his location because he knows if Hot and Cold on the castle pushes too far forward, then Woogieman's jaws will snap shut and he'll be taken down. Yas is trying to find him. He's peppering all around him, but as Hot and Cold, stands up, he's going to find himself his position revealed, just taking bullets. But Forest, he manages to find Woogieman with a nitro, and that might just give a little bit of freedom as Forest comes to the rescue, and Hot and Cold somehow survives a very tense 30 seconds.
And again, SSG just all converge on where they realise the aggression is coming from Dplus. It's so adaptive and responsive, and I just love how you're seeing two different styles of Siege come to a head here, and ultimately SSG are the ones who are pulling it off better. Yas is left alone against 4 with 15 seconds on the clock. This half is done at 4-2, Tim. I'm really excited to see how SSG attack going into the second half.
The fact that Hot and Cold was alive to get this final kill is nothing short of miraculous. One for his own movement, certainly some fancy footwork down there in the customs to keep himself out of the line of fire, but then Forest just swooping in towards the end and getting the double to keep him going. And as you say, Des, SSG very reactive to what's in front of them as defenders, and they've done very, very well. This is the double kill for Forest. He gets one and then swings on to the second. So well played to support his teammate. And SSG, they're looking pretty good at the minute, Des. I said I thought we were going to have one of their good days. We know consistency's been a little bit of an issue, but I think we're seeing it here. This is SSG starting to really warm into this one.
In a way, that's kind of been the issue for both teams, I think, throughout the competition, has been consistency. On the days when they're on, they look unbelievable, but it's the days where they're off that really punishes them both. And I think, to be fair, coming into this series, you and I both said it backstage. Others we've spoken to backstage have said the same. We do expect SSG to come out on top, but that consistency is really going to be the problem, and I just feel Dplus haven't turned up with it so far. You know, I don't at all mean this in a bad way, but when Coated is your top fragger on side, it kind of goes to show that you need more from those that are meant to be more in the front lines. Players like Harper, like Yash, you know, even Woogie to some degree here on the operators like the Oryx. You want to see him getting more involved.
Let's see if they can turn it around on the defensive half then. The sides have switched. Dpluskia move on to the defense. Their first site is going to be upstairs. Armory and Archives, to nobody's surprise, really. Woogieman is going to be roaming underneath on the Oryx. For those maybe a little bit newer, Oryx does have two abilities. He's able to smash his way through soft walls using his brute strength. Look at the muscles, look at the guns on the man. He can just burst.
Tim, calm down. I don't want to hear you talk about another man like that, Tim.
He can just burst his way through walls. He can also use that strength to get up hatches as well, so he can actually climb vertically between levels so long as the hatch is open. So Woogieman playing underneath might just give an opportunity for a little flank to come through if he can get himself up one of those hatches.
This concentrate back and forth utility is going to be one of those. Is it going again? Yeah, and guess what comes out straight again after? It should be from the Azami, another one of those Keeper barriers being deployed. Yas still with it in back pocket for now. Forest finds the entry. Out comes Yas on the run, but they were just ready. Merc able to respond. We saw that kind of attempt coming out from SSG in the first half, but no kills were exchanged. Here, it's a bit more of a full send out of Dplus.
Certainly is.
They are
versus two very, very quickly. As I said, I expected SSG to be better coming even than they were on defense coming into this. Look at this, they're hunting in packs. That's absolutely terrifying. Just lining up one after another for that final kill. Flawless round SSG and a great first attack. 5-2 and the gap continues to widen.
Really interesting. That kill actually came from Break Room as well, not from any of the three players that were flooding in through Fountain. Finally, we see a timeout called in here by Dpluskia, down 5-2. And that, dare I say, Tim, it already feels a little bit too late for this timeout. The momentum of this game is so firmly with SSG.
It really is. You know, they've got to be absolutely on top of things at the minute. Dpluskia, like you say, tactical timeout. But I think, you know, just... They've got to be feeling at the minute like there's not really much they can do. This has been in the hands of SSG. It's been SSG that has brought the aggression. It's been SSG that have controlled the pace of this game so far. And I honestly can't see that changing on the back of a tactical timeout because, of course, you know, again, don't forget, this is an opportunity, of course, for the Dpluskia coach, Houndbird, to have a chat with his players, but it's also, on the other side, an opportunity for SSG to have that same discussion. They get that same time. It's not just the team that calls the tactical timeout. So, you know, they are going to benefit from that as well.
And I can't help but already start thinking about the next map, which is Villa, of course, as well. That is dpluskia's pick. And you're going into a map there that, as we commented earlier on, is not exactly a slouchy map for SSG. It's their 4th highest preferred map. So, what do you expect? It's definitely not dpluskia's best map either. A bunch of those got, well, not a bunch, but they got banned away. So, there's definitely considerations here on what they can do going into map 2. I'm just not convinced there's really much they can do, to be honest with you. The momentum just far too firmly with SSG for now. Here we go, though. Round 8 underway and over onto the attack inside. We can take a little look at what they're looking to lock in here. The DKB and the line on side. Over to a Blackbeard, maybe. We'll touch on that in a minute, Tim. Over on the other side, though, double architect setup. I always talk about these architect picks. I love them because they can make sites change so much. It's, you know, at some point, Ubi looked at this and we're like, okay, sites are a little bit samey. Teams are still finding all these possible unique ways to attack them. Let's make them an infinite number of possibilities by introducing dynamic defenses with the Kiba barriers. The castle changes things up as well. It just really changes the way that maps can be played out, and I love seeing both of them in lineups.
Well, that's it. It becomes a moving target, doesn't it?
Exactly.
You know, rather than, like you say, just knowing that this is how the site is always likely to look, this is how we're going to set up for it. You don't always know what lines of fire you're going to be going into. You don't always know what angles the defenders are going to be able to hold, what sort of obstacles are going to be in your way, and that is why they are so important to Siege and offer so much variety. So, heading into round 8 then, SSG in control at the minute, 5-2. They are on the attack and absolutely flying.
Yeah, you see the Bravo's got a couple of those default cams hacked out here as well. Forrest has been a busy boy inside the map on those 2 drones. The Kludge drones, again, I think one of the most horrific words I've ever heard in the English language, but still doing good work for the team overall.
Does the job, Des.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of an analogy here of what else does the job, but it's not pretty or anything else. Fresh, I guess, is a great example. Yas on the vertical finds Merc out. Up on the vertical. That's a good start for the side of Dplus.
It is a good opener. Just going to have, again, a bit more of a patient approach this time from SSG. Holding down that window. Forrest is moving in, just trying to chase down Aroma here. Hot and Cold finds Soldier. Forrest is going to miss his man, but he manages to just walk into side and get a double! Unbelievable play from Forrest. Fultz gets in on the action along the way as well. Hot and Cold, he's going to slam that diffuser down on the deck if he gets the opportunity. Harper is trying to find his man, but the shots are whiffed. He can't get the kill, and it is all up to him now. Half Elf, 1 versus 4, trying to push forward, and he's on the clock.
And again, this is the big difference. Think back to when Yas walked inside server previously and got a single kill, then sprinted back out the map and was on drones. Forrester's full committed there. He knew a player was inside Workshop. The team calls were there, and they have just cleaned house with dpluskia. It's SSG going up to 6-2, and it's looking dire for the Korean side.
Certainly is. That's after a tactical timeout as well. You know, that's, as I said, yes, it's of a benefit to dpluskia to take that tactical timeout, but the same is true of SSG, and we've just seen there that they've made just as much use of that opportunity as dpluskia have as well. So 6-2 now, SSG starting to run away with this, and it's been a better day for NA so far today, Des, I think it's fair to say. They had a good result out of Sonics earlier. Obviously, we're into the best of 3s for the day now, so all the games that we've got left, for everybody watching, every game that we've got left today, basically whoever loses gets sent home out of the tournament. So NA could be a bit of an issue. They're in every one of these knockout games. As Jesse waves at me from across the studio, I don't think he's happy with my line of thinking here. But SSG are the first, and who knows, it could be a domino effect that every one of the NA teams save themselves along the way, and all of a sudden we've got a very different landscape regionally in front of us for the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Yeah, the next 3 games for those who are curious. SSG versus Dan1Kia, which is now M&M versus M80, Liquid versus DZ.
Yep, it's a tough day for NA today, but SSG are showing that they are quite capable of standing up to it. You know me, Des, you know me. I like different regions to win things.
I'll tell you what I love, is the talent are so obsessed with NA versus EU that no one has yet really acknowledged
missed LATAM.
That 3 LATAM teams are currently in our top 5 that have made it into the land stages.
We don't worry about that. We don't
talk about LATAM. They're just the beast in the background everyone wants to ignore.
Yeah, that's it. That's a problem.
But
for
you can't
another day.
ignore them because they keep on winning things. Well, they haven't won for a while, but they're still a good team.
This is what I was going to say. You know me, I'm not massively like EU biased. I do like the EU teams, but what I do like is different regions to win things. I backed NA.
Is that saying you want us to lose now because we've won like 3 or 4 events
but I'm
in a row?
saying EU have won a good few events in a row.
have.
I like to see different regions come through because I think it's very positive for the regions to win things. It drives the teams and the success and everything else. So for me, you know, I said that I was back in NA for SI in 22 when TSM won it. So I'm not saying NA are going to go on to win here, but I wouldn't hate an NA or a LATAM winner, I've got to say it. So hopefully a good day for NA. SSG, they're just continuing
is what
here.
gets you disowned, Tim.
Give it a rest. I've been like this for years. I'll support everybody. You know me. I just love to see people win, Des. I just want to see people happy. That's all I want.
I hate your positivity sometimes, Tim.
I know you do. I want to see you happy too.
Oh, thanks, Tim. I still hate that as well.
I hate that you want to see me happy.
How dare you?
Says there's as Yas manages to take down Fultz, who won't be happy about that one. Nice long-range kill from Yas, though. Just finding his man trying to push into break room 5 versus 4. Another good opportunity for Dpluskia. We saw them get the man advantage to begin with, and then quartered. He's just trying to go for just some unnecessary aggression, a rotation through to his stairs. You've got to go through the animation, you got to crouch. You're always at a disadvantage.
That kind of aggression we've seen were more later into the round with flanks coming out of players or sending 2 players off together late in the rounds, go for a trade. Not kind of one-man blind aggression, hoping it works out. Forest has gone from one engagement into another, though. Merc has found Soldier. The Valk in front of him is also in a little bit of hot bother here as well. A second one goes down. SSG once again in full control in a 3 versus 1.
I don't know if they know that Yas is coming. J9 manages to get Harper. Yas has an opportunity maybe to push around, but I think the cover is there on Archive's door. Certainly is. Yas knows that he's going to be being held, and I'm not sure they know exactly where he's coming from. The guns are facing the wrong way at the minute. Yas manages to take the head off of J9, but Hot and Cold has got himself out of the window after getting that diffuser down on the ground. He's got Forest underneath. No nades in hand, though, so Forest's ability to play from down there and have an impact on Yas is going to be limited, but Yas goes in and finds him. There's the battle, though. There's the end as Forest finds the final kill, and Space Station Gaming, they take map 1 in a real fashion.
Oh, we have liftoff for the Space Boys, but there is still more to do. Back after a short break.
Last man alive is Necrox as MVK is on the floor. It's looking. Oh my God! They did it! They've done it! A double Apex semis.
I remember I looked like this to Kanto and Brook. I'm like, what is going on? And it's just one of those like, this should not be happening, especially not against such a strong team as EG, and it did.
Fnatic demolish EG with a 2-0. Dizzle takes it.
There's rare coaches that have been able to achieve what he has. That's immensely unusual.
It is Evil Geniuses against Fnatic, a match that any esport would want to have.
Yeah, 2 big organizations with a ton of history in esports behind them, but one has a bit of a Himalayan mountain, a Herculean task ahead of them.
The night before we were supposed to fly out to Brazil, I get a bit of a stomachache. I try and, take pain medication or something. Nothing works. They run a couple tests on me, and I finally get the news that I have appendicitis and I need to get surgery right away.
He was not able to fly to Rio de Janeiro for the Pro League Finals at the time. This is your in-game leader. It's your captain. It's a big, big problem.
The unofficial ruling was to be that we could find a substitute as long as they weren't contracted to an organization and hadn't competed in any of the Pro League circuits around the globe. Yeah, basically we had to make the call, and it's like, look, there's nobody else. I guess I'm just going to have to play.
Normally when a coach has to become a player, we're always thinking that's gonna go terribly wrong. And to make things worse, Dizzle came from Xbox or console, so he didn't play with mouse and keyboard before.
It is interesting, though, when you have the coach playing, because he's potentially coaching in real time, especially as they've lost their IGL.
It had been almost 2 years since I played competitively, but that having been said, like, I generally always had a competitive spirit and I have nerves of steel.
And Dizzle will clinch it! Fnatic to take the third round! Dizzle, in that event, was called Diz God from that moment on. Round 4 for Fnatic, and APAC 2 rounds away!
I knew he was a good player on Xbox, but I mean, I knew he knew how to play the game. I just didn't know if he was like mechanically up there, and obviously he was apparently.
We knew, like, if we're going to win, it has to be on Oregon. And the call came out and just said, guys, we need to get out there, need to give them pressure. Like, just don't let them get comfortable, don't let them execute.
I'll never forget Aces bringing FO12 Ella and jumping out the window on Oregon from Armory, and then, you know, getting 3 kills and finishing up the game practically for his team.
Last man alive is Necrox. It's looking, oh my God, they did it! They've done it! They've done it! Fnatic demolish EG with a 2-0. Look at that, they can't believe it. We can't believe it. The crowd can't believe it. And they just got destroyed by APAC.
It definitely sucked not being there, but I just thought it was great that the guys won without me and they won with Diz.
I just couldn't believe it. Like, the crowd went up, and I'm just sort of sitting there going, like, is this real? And then to have like all the thousands and thousands of Brazilian fans like chanting and stuff. We've never had so much support before. It was absolutely incredible.
I remember things 7 years ago.
Naquela época, tudo era menor.
Mais en chacun d'entre nous, la flamme brûlait déjà.
Über die Jahre sind wir zusammengewachsen.
Y hoy son millones los que nos apoyan.
皆さんの応援は我々の原動力です
Ve sevdiğimiz işi yapmamıza olanak sağlıyorsunuz.
และสิ่งเหล่านี้จะเป็นไปไม่ได้ถ้าหากเราไม่มีพวกคุณ
Devemos tudo isso a vocês
Därför vill vi säga
Gracias.
Obrigado ขอบคุณครับ
Danke.
ありがとう
Kiitos.
Merci.
From the bottom of our hearts, thank you.
Spacestation Gaming took the first map against Dpluskia on Border, and they did it with some fantastic rounds, so good, I want to just show one of them to you. I'm going to call this the 1-2 hold. We've got the Azami inside of CCTV, setting up her Kiba barriers. You see one there on the desk, you've got one on the break room door, you've got one on the other break room door coming in to security. Then you've got the 2. The 2 coming in is the Wamai, and you can see the Wamai has been prepping this setup. He's, of course, full of Wamai magnets. Take a look at that one in the pocket right now, and their whole goal here is to make this difficult. The Azami with the 1 is being able to create so many angles that you can't walk in and take gunfights. But then the Wamai makes it so you can't nade them out either. You can't get direct kills, you can't get indirect kills either. And what we see is we're gonna see a little bit of combo. The flashes from the Habana and the nades coming in from Yas are gonna attempt to clear out this Wamai, but we'll see exactly how that goes. I'm gonna press play here on the clip. You'll see the Wamai playing back. Already one flash is gone in, it'll be the nade, then it'll be the first magnet in Merc's pockets, there it goes, and then it'll be the second nade. This does nothing to the hold. It's extremely successful from Spacestation Gaming, and dpluskia, they reach an impasse with this two-man hold. And so they start to get a little bit worried. The nades have both gone out now, the flashes have all gone out, you haven't been able to deal with this guy. So they do what the proper thing here is to do. They're gonna start sending their Nomad over to East Stairs. And you can see already we've got Woogie Man over on the East there, and he's trying to hold the hallway. He's got a great line of sight here. He's working his way into a pick if they can force him around. But if we pause this clip, what we notice is that this is not a 1-2 hold at all. No, I lied. This is a 1, 2, 3 holds. That's right. We've still got Hot and Cold down inside of waiting room, but a flank up. He's playing the Solus. He knows that the 2 air jabs that have not been shot from Woogie Man are still in his pocket. He shot 1 on the top floor. Nothing is protecting East Stairs. Hot and Cold knows that, and he is gonna be the secret weapon. We'll play this clip as it shows with him walking up these East Stairs. It's a good idea from Woogie. He's in the right spot, but he didn't place down that utility. And because of it, he goes down. His teammate follows him shortly after. It's a big 2K to start the round from Hot and Cold. And these are the close little rounds that SSG were able to pull out. Great setups here, but they had some great frags as well. So let's take a look at the highlights, and we'll move over to the desk.
Thanks, Jess. That was a really lovely illustration segment, but let's start off. I mean, dpluskia, they had a really strong beginning, but it felt like it just kind of went downhill after that.
Yeah, and dpluskia had a strong beginning, especially Woogie Man at the beginning of that game. We mentioned how he hasn't been having the greatest of games yesterday. He was put in those more passive roles, and now they actually used him more towards that entry, and he was very successful on that in the first 3 rounds. But then afterwards, his progress in the game kind of stagnated. Whereas if you look at this highlight here from J90, he had a really good start to the game. And whilst his progress maybe stagnated a little bit as well, it was actually all of his teammates to then catch up to his performance to make it a more equal performance on the side of SSG. To me, it felt like dpluskia had a very slow attack coming in. There was good entry conversion on the side of SSG as well. Actually, not just good, great. 100% of the rounds that SSG got the opening kill, they were able to convert that into a round win as well.
That's a really great stat to have. It's going to boost them up a little. But when we're looking at SSG specifically, it felt like for the majority, if not the entirety of the game, they were dictating the pace of how it would go.
Yeah, I mean, we started with some great opening picks from Woogie. We talked about this, right? He started off on a great foot, 3 in a row. But even in those picks, it didn't feel like SSG were playing dumb. It didn't feel like they were playing goofy. It didn't look like the Wolves game, where they were taking more risks than they needed to, where they were trying to get cute with their strategies. No, they were playing good setups, and sometimes they would fall first. Sometimes there would be an angle they weren't watching. Sometimes they'd lose a gunfight. But all in all, they weren't playing a hyper-aggressive style on border, which I really like to see from them. They were sticking to their roots. They know that this is a team that can punish that. They've done it against other teams in this tournament. So let's slow it down. Let's play calm. Let's not lose our minds, and that worked for them.
Yeah, and when we're looking at Dplus, it felt like they slowed down as well, but not in terms of it being a positive thing. It felt like more it was the complete opposite in their case, and them slowing down actually had a negative effect on their performance.
Yeah, exactly. With some attacks that actually ended up the round or the timer being the deciding factor, just Dplus not having enough time left in that round to successfully execute. It felt like on the side of SSG as well, when they did suffer that one entry where they lost a Solus, that's where Dplus really came to shine. They had that information, but the rounds where the Solus actually stayed in play and actually had an effect onto the round, as you mentioned on the Telestrator as well, it felt like that was a really strong and solid win factor on the side of SSG.
Yeah, and we're moving into Villa. That's going to be the next map, but this one around is Dplus's pick. So moving into this, I think we have certain expectations on how they will be performing on this map because they are comfortable enough to make it their map.
Yeah, we mentioned how the previous map was the highest preference map for SSG and how they also picked it themselves. This map is a lower preference for SSG, and for Dplus themselves, they picked it. They have 2 victories on this map against Falcons and Sandbox. Some trends I'm looking to see if they will continue on that map. For example, the entry conversion on SSG. We talked how bad it was. We talked about how bad it was in the previous 2 games and how good it is now. I'm hoping for them that they can keep it up.
Yeah, you can recall back to that Falcons game, the last time that we saw dpluskia on Villa, and that was one where we saw lots of aggression coming through from Falcons, and Dplus did a really good job shutting that down. Woogie especially was very good on his entries, as he was for some rounds today.
Yeah.
But I don't think SSG is going to give them that much space. I don't think they're going to give them that much aggressive fighting. Maybe they will, but time will tell, and I think if they do, dpluskia can shut that down.
I feel like knowing SSG and how they play, we can be expecting a little funky business into the next map, potentially. We're coming here saying, all right, as long as SSG doesn't give them the space, but, you know, maybe they did a little oopsie, and they do give them the space.
Yeah, if they get aggressive, if they want to jump in, if they want to take some fights. I mean, this is also a map where we can see traps being a pretty big thing. It's a big frost map. You can see some cap cans now and again. SSG seemingly afraid of operators like that, banning out the cap can, which after the Wolves game makes sense. I mean, it shows that not only are you aware of your weaknesses, but you're like, screw it. I mean, we'll take these traps out of the board. Be interested to see if they do something like that again today.
Yeah, let's have a little bit of fun. We're going to be heading into the second map of today, Villa, which is dpluskia's map pick.
Thank you very much, Jin. Sorry, I got confused there. Thank you very much, Ginny. I was about to call her Jasmine. I was like, that's not Jasmine. That's
yeah. No, still Ginny for now.
Jasmine, Ginny, Ginny. You try and say that fast enough, it will lose you. Try and do it.
Like a tongue twister.
Yeah. I got some good ones of those, actually.
Have you?
I've done them. You don't remember from before. I've done them a few times.
You have, to be fair.
Do you want to try this one again?
No, I don't.
All right, chat can try it then. Genuine, unique New York. Go on, try it for me.
Genuine, unique New York.
Keep going.
Genuine, unique, you know.
That's a good one. And then the other one is Irish wristwatch.
I'm gonna take the L on the first one. I'm gonna leave it there.
Quit while you're behind, Tim.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not normally how this works.
Exactly that.
All right, well, you guys have a bit of a go with that, and whilst we wait for us to load into this game, it is Villa, as you can see on your screen, between dpluskia and SSG. In case you are only just tuning in, first off, welcome. Hope you're having a wonderful day so far. SSG certainly are, as they stomped dpluskia 7-2 on Border about 10-15 minutes ago. So really, this is the last one song for dpluskia, unless they can pull this out the bag and take us through to Oregon. Their run at the Copenhagen Major will end here. Here we go, though, Tim, with our operator bands.
And this is going to be part of the problem, I think, for dpluskia. So far, when they've been under pressure, like we saw on Border, I don't think we've necessarily seen the best out of this side.
Oh.
And so this is going to be more pressure than they're going to face at any point. SSG, interestingly, coming in with a blitz banner.
I love it.
I mean, on Villa, we've seen it once or twice. Used to clear out main stairs, I guess. Sometimes you're going through study window, just rush into maps, try and force an entry direct into Aviator games, for example. So we've seen it once or twice. You know, there's, I'm sure, plenty of reasoning for it. Ying is going to be our next attacker band from dpluskia, and then they will take out our first defender. If you're, again, one of our newer viewers to Siege and you're wondering what's going on, what are we banning? Basically, these operators will be unavailable. Each team gets to pick 2 attackers and 2 defenders, and each of these operators will be unavailable throughout the entirety of Villa. If we do go on to Oregon, they'll go back into the pool and we'll go through the same process again. Pool.
You almost sound Scouse when you say that.
Pool.
You are a Liverpool fan, though, so you can get away with saying pool.
Pool.
Going down the pool.
It's just that we put an extra vowel in, that's all.
A vowel in. Absolutely. And that band, it's worth noting as well, the Ying, the second attacker band that came up from dpluskia. Ying is generally... Oh, we're on to the mouse spins again. Oh, they ain't got the Bolo techers, though.
No, we lost more than we realised when Bolo retired. We lost the Bolo spin.
But we did gain unhinged Bolo on Twitter.
Very true.
I tell you what, so the video, I was watching his Twitter like daily for the space of like 3 weeks, just waiting for the next video to drop. Like, there were so many good ones. I haven't seen one for a while, so Bolo, if you are sat at home watching, please, the timeline needs you. Please come back. All right, then, here we go. Touching on the Ying for SSG, that is kind of, I'm not going to say it's a crutch operator, but it's one of their go-tos. I really expected that we'd see it quite a lot coming out on Border. Obviously didn't, but they were the ones who made a really cool strat for dumping a bunch of Candelas inside a site on Armory Archives, executing in towards Archives itself while the other site was completely white flashed. Just very much a strong operator they love using, and this is an early jump out coming in here actually from Merc, who was hoping to find someone in spawn, but dpluskia are having none of it as pretty much every player has spawned here on the south side of the map, all bar one, poor coated, all by himself up to the north.
SSG start on the defensive side, which is going to be great for them. Of course, it is dpluskia's map choice, so SSG choosing to go on what we would generally consider the stronger side of Villa. Maybe those percentages have narrowed a little bit since, you know, once upon a day when Villa was first introduced. What was the operation that Villa was introduced? Was it Parabellum?
Parabellum, yeah.
It was Parabellum. My Siege history knowledge serves me well. And yeah, you know, Villa started out heavily defender side, and I think it was largely because of the size of the map that it took so long for that to sort of be leveled out a little bit, but it's certainly not as pronounced as maybe it once was. But SSG going to be very happy with the start here.
I'm so sorry, but Ginny is being an absolute child in the studio. Woogie, far from being childish himself, put hot and cold to the sword. Still a little good hold there. I think Hot and Cold himself is even like, wow. I mean, you're trying to spray someone down with the thing. It's not really the gun to achieve those long-range kills. I'll give you that much. Yes, now on the charge up main stairs as well, going in behind these grenades. It's a bit of a trade play coming in. No! J.O falls just short. dpluskia starting this map out. I was going to say the same way they did on Border in absolute style, but they've been shut down. All three players taken out. Now leaving us in a 2 versus 2. What has just happened in that 30-second spell, Tim?
That was a hell of a swing, Merc. He just manages to keep himself alive with unknown movement away from that grenade. In a 2 versus 2, this is going to be a real swing around for SSG if they're able to lock this down. Forest for the time being, just taking out those drones, trying to deny a little bit more information. Still 5 on the side of dpluskia, though, at this point with 3 dead. There's going to be plenty of eyes on the map for them, and they're going to have plenty of opportunity to find out what's going on before.
You say that as every player is watching operators. There's none left on the flank, I think.
They weren't. There was 2 on drones when I said it. They just happened to jump off very quickly as I said it. Woogieman very low health at the minute. It's not ideal for what is going to be a late round push here. We're going to have a little bit of a breach opened up into the wall that they can sort of work their way to have a look through. But Forest, he's going to be just using the reverse of that. SSG having prepped that wall at the beginning. This is going to give them exactly what they want, the lines of sight to try and stop this study push.
Are they going to try a backstab at the same time? Oh, Forest, if he pulls this off, this is mega.
He's
gone pushing them. They think he's staying on site, but they are not. In comes the backstab, and Forest finds that shut down. The confidence from SSG again in these late round situations is sublime.
Forest at the end there, just proving that they weren't stuck in there with dpluskia.
I'm not stuck in here with you.
dpluskia.
You're stuck in here with me.
In there with Forest as he managed to work his way on the flank, get himself inside of Study and close out the round in the 1v1 at the end. Absolutely perfect from SSG to a point. They shouldn't have been in the position they were in realistically, 2 versus 5, but then just the huge swing that we saw on the main stairs. We're about to see it now. What a nitro from Forest. Dumps it in to the danger zone and gets his kills. SSG just will not be beaten here today. I had a feeling about them coming in, Des, and they're proving me right, and it's nice to see.
I mean, I came into the competition and we were speaking about potential finalists, and my 2 names I kept drawing out the hat. Well, not really out the hat, but out of my brain, same sort of thing, was W7M and SSG. They were the 2 teams that honestly I thought might make it into the final. Now, SSG have kind of flopped a little bit throughout the stage. Consistency has been their challenge, but I think on their day, when they are actually properly switched on, they are a lethal force. And as the tournament has gone on, I've maybe more put SSG as being, you know, a top 8 team. Will they make it all the way? Not really expecting so at the minute, but you really can't write them off. Crowd energy is just a little bit different.
Form is very important, as I keep saying. And if SSG...
It's also a temporary tip, but class.
If you can find that form at the right time in a knockout tournament like this, it can push you a long, long way into it. SSG, yes, they've had their ups and downs, but if this is the start of the turnaround, if this is where they start locking in win after win, they might just have done it at the very right time. You know, the potential is there. There's only 3 matches for teams to win at those live finals. Quarterfinal, semi-final, final will see you crown the champion. So from this point on, they only need to win 5 games.
Oh, God. I think even Forrest wasn't sure he was safe there, so rather than lying down, opted to just jump out. We normally love this hold as well, where you can do exactly what J9 is wonderfully demonstrating now. Making use of these 3 castle barricades gives you ultimate safety to move out here, challenging towards Cubby, to challenge on towards bathroom window. It's really oppressive for the attackers to get any kind of control, but that's where you start looking at players like Woogieman, like Soldier here, to get rid of these castle barricades at range, but so far, they're still standing.
Yash just coming down off the rappel, going to look to pressure master window along with the others. There's going to be a peek coming through from the bathroom window anytime. Courted is going to pick up Forrest. So once again, advantage dpluskia, J9 all low health as well. Not going to be easy to hold on to the closet and the bathroom for the time being. I'd like to see those castle barricades opened up, but Yas is going to actually use their safety to push in here. Soldier manages to find J9. Yas is going to be deep inside a site in about 5 seconds.
They work both ways, those castle barricades. And you're absolutely spot on, Tim. Yas is dancing around them and using them for gunfights here. Another 5v2 comes out. Yas will not be stopped. Marches through for another, and hot and cold is all that's left standing. He can't win it out against Soldier. dpluskia on the board in round 2.
Yep, much better. The thing is, we've got to remember from round 1, dpluskia were well on top of it, but for a big nitro from Forrest, it was a great play. You know, fantastic to see, but ultimately, dpluskia were realistically in charge of the round up to that point. They've come in and just absolutely decimated SSG in reality there. They've broken that hold without too much of a problem. And I'm starting to see very quickly why this is the map choice for dpluskia. Villa, they are absolutely rolling through these attacks at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, again, 2 5v2s they brought it down to. Last round, you look at that wonderful double C4 coming out from Forrest. We'll see how things go here in round 3.
Going to be heading down to kitchen and dining then. That's going to be our next round, round 3. SSG just, they need to get something going on the defense here, like I say, but for a big nitro from Forrest, it's a little bit wobbly, a little bit shaky so far. And this is going to be the half where they really need to rack up the rounds. You know, this is where we would expect them to be coming out on top realistically if they want to get this one inside 2 maps.
Dining in kitchen then, our third choice site here for round number 3. Robot Wars is coming back online here as well with the Brava and the Twitch on side. As I said earlier on, missing the Flores, you make it a full house. On the other side though, Merc's also got that Mozzie, so really got to be careful here as Coated or Yas to not see that taken away. We've seen Yas throw a couple of the Brava drones into mute jammers before, which are made for easy pickings. Only here, it's not a case of having them destroyed, they'll be stolen. And we all love the idea of these crazy interactions between Brava drones being stolen and hacking back a attacker utility like the Claymores, for example. It'll be good fun to see.
It just turns into a wheel within a wheel, doesn't it? You know, you can grab the Mozzie pest that could maybe grab a Mozzie drone. It just goes back and forward, round and round. You don't always know, but Courted is going to be able to get that Twitch drone inside a site, can start taking out some of that utility as well. And we're going to have Soldier looking to open up the pantry wall. Should be able to do so from relative safety. Yep, that's going to be done. So again, this is a good start from dpluskia. We're a minute into the round. They're destroying the utility of SSG. There's going to be very little left. There's going to be very, very little left at this point that's on the side of SSG. And dpluskia, they've got the wall open. They're going to be holding angles into sight. It's going to get very uncomfortable for the North American side.
Stealing what they want and destroying the rest, really the summary of that. Destroying the can traps, but taking away the default cams. And I wouldn't be surprised, truthfully, if there is also a Banshee or 2 that has been taken over by the attackers. Been a pretty calm round, all things considered, given how crazy the first 2 started out. Again, a massive flurry from dpluskia in those first 2 rounds. 3 kills to their name before we saw any kind of bite back from SSG.
That's just opening up yet another window. A little bit more lateral pressure for dpluskia. 1 minute 20 left to go. Need to start thinking about exactly how they're going to get in and where the execution is going to come. They haven't got themselves an opening kill yet. So SSG, for all the progress that's been made, they're holding on pretty well. Woogieman missing too many opportunities, you've got to say there. Merc somehow wriggles away with his life, and that creates a problem for dpluskia because now the message is there. There's one on the top floor, and we don't know where he is.
It's maybe a touch cynical, but we've seen across both maps a couple of gunfights like that. I look back at Harper, for example, and his full mag spray on the Jaeger towards one of the players playing downstairs on border. Those are the moments that you look back on and say, those really should have been freebies, and Woogie's being reminded of that as Merc has now domed him in response. These are the things that make a difference, Tim.
It is, and dpluskia, I felt like their momentum was at the beginning of the round, just missed the opportunity again there. I know it's a harsh one to criticise when you've got about 3 pixels that you can see, but if you're going to choose to play the angle, you've got to be able to play it. We're going to have Fultz picking up Yas there, managing to get that kill, and it's just too easy as J9O comes in behind, and what a turnaround we've had, Des. You've got dpluskia in round 2 that look phenomenal. They look really, really good on that master take. And then you've got SSG coming back with a flawless round. And the thing was with that round, it was a funny one because dpluskia came in at the beginning and I commented how much they were making, you know, such quick, good progress. They got breaches open, took utility down, got themselves into position to hold rotations inside a site. It was looking like a bit of a nightmare for SSG. They managed to hold on for half of the round and then just come back with a brilliant second half of the round.
For me, really, it was capitalising on chaos is probably the summary of this round overall. The end of it especially, you know, 3 kills in quick succession. J9O pushing up red really was the catalyst that got it all started. But as soon as he gets that first kill, it's like a Venus flytrap. The rest of SSG just spring into action and quickly close that round out. No doubt overwhelming the comms of dpluskia, which is why you didn't see a reaction inside a museum, or what's it called? Memorial room, that's Memorial. The one. We've had this debate before. I always forget the name of it. Memorial, that was where you saw the push come through from J9O, but I imagine at that point, comms were screaming, oh, he's up there, oh, he's over here, but no one called out exactly where J9O was, which is why there was a free kill.
Back to Aviator Games we go for SSG then. They're going to need to do... it's easy to look at the stats and say, oh, they won this in round 1, but they're going to need to do better than they did. The win in round 1 was heavily reliant on that double nitro kill. It was, as I've said before, well played, but not something you can rely on happening. I'm sure dpluskia are going to avoid that this time. They're not going to be stacking up on the main stairs quite in the same way they were. Rotero is going to clear out that bit of utility, the barbed wire at the bottom of the stairs, so that's going to make it a little bit easier. Maybe signals the direction that dpluskia will be looking to push in from, but certainly more attention being paid towards Master this time. Merc so close to taking the head off one of the attackers pushing in.
He'll be feeling like he really should have had Yas's head there, and it's the head that you want to take away from this team. I know he's far from being the shining player throughout the competition, but he's still a very rock-solid player on this roster that you have to fear on the entry. Murky holding up tight. Of course, we saw those Thoruses coming in from below as well, so he's got a little bit of support coming in from hot and cold in the below. But this whole goal is just waste as much time as you can. Burn through drones, burn through utility, whatever you can do to slow down dpluskia.
Yeah, only a minute into the round, so dpluskia, no need to panic yet. Plenty of time to build this attack and start trying to pick up those loose bodies. Yas is going to be moving in. He knows that Merc is there to make the challenge, but I don't know if he knows exactly where he's positioned and that he's got those keeper barricades to play behind. We're going to have the prox alarm going off there that's just going to signal the arrival of dpluskia for Merc, so he knows that he needs to be watchful now from the red stairs. Plenty of drones there that are feeding information, but I don't know that they're absolutely convinced of his position just yet.
Absolutely not all, but close. I mean, Red Pin's going to give it away as well that he's been spotted and should force him into, not quite a panic, but bad towards site here. It's an opportunity to collect a freebie for themselves. This constant rotation, again, of the keeper barriers. We saw it a little bit on border. You destroy one, another one appears, and Woogie's there ready to capitalize on Forrest, who is feeling a little bit too cheeky around 90.
Another good entry. Woogie Man has been great across both maps so far in getting those numbers at least and giving dpluskia the advantage. 5 versus 4, 55 seconds left to go. Hot and Cold is playing underneath with the Solus, and if he can keep himself off the drones here, he could be pivotal. He will have, I would imagine, impact nades. No, he's used both of them, but he will have the opportunity to shoot up through the floor, but it's going to take more than a last-second diffuser. Stopping the diffuser going down here for SSG to win this. 3 versus 5. Pressure now mounting inside a study. Is that a miss drone? Fultz, he could have a field day here, Des.
Well, Yas is going to go down for free now, can spin onto the window and go back in for another challenge. The long angle covered by the keeper barricade. All they got to do is burn a little bit of time, and this is theirs. Hot and Cold out the window. Fultz into another. It's down to a 2 versus 2. They almost managed to pull it off, but Dplus stabilized. They've got 10 seconds to go. Woogie's trying to stick the plan. Hot and Cold's going to be somewhere, and he's ready to just spray, but he's up on the pool table. Great thinking from Woogie in the last moment.
That's absolute smart play from dpluskia there, just knowing that the Solis was still unaccounted for and underneath, and I feel like both teams have really had their moments here. Coated is going to find his with a kill onto Merc. Hot and Cold manages to spray down Woogie. Surely not. He needs this final kill. Coated half health. He's got about 15 seconds left, Des. If he's going to be able to do this, he just tries to just tempt him out by just tickling that diffuser with the audio cue. 7 seconds left to go if he wants to be able to disable it. There is nothing surely that Hot and Cold can do. Coated cuts him down, and what an end to an unreal round between dpluskia and SSG.
If Hot and Cold had got that second spray onto Coated, I'd have been done. Headset would have been off, someone else could step in for the rest of the round, or the rest of the map even. Unreal that he got the first spray and almost converted it into a second, and dpluskia, dare I say, in a position where it felt like for a moment they were throwing things away. You know, the quick flurry of kills, again, really good coordination between the members of SSG to spring the trap, and 2 or 3 kills come their way in quick succession. The whole aim being to completely overwhelm the comms of dpluskia, and it worked previously, but in a 2 versus 2, this time round, finally, dpluskia were the better team.
What a round that was. It was a roller coaster ride, Des. It was almost a best of 3 in 1 round. It was brilliant. Like you say, dpluskia, great start, 5 versus 3. SSG fight their way back in. You think Hot and Cold's going to have the opportunity from underneath. But no! Woogieman's on the pool table!
He does have the chance, but Woogie's just a bit too big brain for it.
Unbelievable round. That's one of the best that I've seen so far in Copenhagen, and the quality of Siege is just going up and up, building and building towards the excitement of those live finals. So we head into round 5 then. It's 2-2 at the minute, very little to separate these two teams on Villa. SSG do have a 1-map advantage. If you just join in us part way through, they did win pretty convincingly. If you have a look up at the top right of your screen, our wonderful production team, keep that updated for you. 7-2 it shows that they were able to win on Border, which was their map choice. We're now on dpluskia's map choice, and they're putting up a much better showing.
They are, but for me, it's going to be about that warming into things as well. Once SSG get on the attack inside, how do the fates change? Because historically, look back 18 months, everyone will be like, winning more than 1 or 2 rounds on attack on Villa? You're mad. Whereas it seems to become pretty commonplace these days. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, like I said, the gap has definitely narrowed, you know, massively. And it's just, it took time. You know, a big map, a complex map for the attackers to really get a thorough handle on it. So Woogieman's going to be sending in the Rotero drone, just trying to break this hold that they've got over the Master side at the minute. Hot and Cold on the Frost, just trying to pressure from the triple wall there and in through concrete, in through the door into Master. And for the time being, he is preventing the push coming in from dpluskia.
I was curious as I said that, actually. I went to go and check out the stats. Which map do you think has the highest defensive win rate here so far?
Just in Copenhagen? I don't know, it's difficult to say. Maybe, we've not seen a lot of Clubhouse, but maybe Clubhouse?
Oregon, 71% with 9 plays. That's crazy.
That's very high, very, very high.
Ludicrous. Meeting and Kitchen has a 78% defensive win rate. Across 18 rounds.
I was going to say how many rounds, but that's a decent sample size.
It's a pretty decent sample size, yeah.
Not bad at all, then. Well, we'll see. We might get a bit of Oregon. If we go to our final map, Des, it will be the decider if dpluskia are able to win here on Villa. They've got themselves established now. They've forced Hot and Cold back out of the trophy statuary side so they can start pushing in towards maps. They will now know that Fultz is located in 90 Corridor. They managed to clear this area pretty easily last time. Woogieman just was able to walk on in and get the kill, but 40 seconds left to go. dpluskia need to get a wriggle on, Des.
They do. I'm always kind of at that mind of this competition where you can wait until the last 20 seconds and make it happen, but you need to have all the prep work due if you are going to gamble everything on a last-second push. And Jane, I know, little does he know. No, he definitely knows, Tim. He definitely knows. Down goes the Woogieman.
It was a nice opener from Jane, I know, just sneak into Study. And I feel like Study as a space has been something that dpluskia have maybe just let get out of their control one too many times. We're in a 1 versus 3 now as Hot and Cold takes down Soldier. It's going to be all up to Coated here as he pushes on into sight. Can he find one? No, dips away behind the bar. Does get the second, who was hard left, but with time running out, it's unlikely that he finds those kills. And that is going to be SSG taking the round, giving them a 3-2 lead now.
All right. Things looking pretty good for the Spaceman overall. The big decider, well, not really the decider, but a big influence on the rest of this game is going to be this next round, I think. We saw SSG up at 4-2 on the previous map. They moved it to 5-2, and then we saw dpluskia take their time out. But I said at the time it was too little too late. It proved to be exactly that as they marched on towards a 7-2 victory. I think if dpluskia want to stay competitive, this round has to go their way.
I don't know if you remember.
Oh, that's naughty.
I don't know if you remember. Just before we started, not the villa, but the game overall, we were talking about what we thought might happen, and we did predict a score for both maps.
7-2, 7-4, I said.
We predict. I came in with a 7-2, which you agreed, and then you added the 7-4, and between us. Who knows? Who knows, Des? We might just look a little bit clairvoyant by the end.
Just massively big brains. That's what it'll come down to.
Could be.
Wrinkle brains, not smooth brains, Tim.
It's as if we've watched a bit of Siege before. Right, coming into round 6 then, it's going to be kitchen and dining. Bottom floor will be the final defense for Space Station Gaming. They're going to be holding on to a little bit of top floor. They didn't really hold on too much to top floor last time. They did sort of start out up there, but then we saw, I think it was Hot and Cold was able to rotate up there sort of in the mid-round, and there was nobody else up there, but there was nobody really there for dpluskia either. They tried a lot of laterals, they got the walls open, they got rid of a lot of utility, but never really did anything to get them into sight.
No. Love the use of the Yokais here as well. I mean, a few teams have taken inspiration since Berlin, back when Koi won the whole major. I think Deepek inspired not just a nation, but a whole world at that point. We started seeing a lot more Yokai use in slightly more aggressive positions, out drone holes, hopping up through hatches, you name it. Here for Faults, it's more about getting into positions where they can make use of it to inform them of pushes coming in. So kind of like a much more dynamic form of Valkyrie, who is indeed banned away, and you can see maybe why they banned it away here. 1, very strong operator. 2, they feel they have an alternative in the Echo.
Pantry wall is going to be open. Again, something else that dpluskia were able to do last time they attacked onto this site. Didn't really gain them too much. Forest is ready for it, playing in behind the deployable shield. Just looking through the lineup, there's 4 nades there, so they do have the ability to take that shield out. They could use a Selma charge as well if they can get that to land, but it's likely to be taken out from inside the site. But they could certainly do with clearing Forest out of that position, because otherwise, if they're looking to apply any pressure from Pantry, it's just not really having that effect at the minute.
Absolutely not, no. A bit of a slower start for dpluskia, and I think we were used to this from Border. Really, largely all pushing in the same direction. Very drone-based, quite slow in terms of how things played out, which again isn't too bad, but the big disruptor for SSG was bringing a lot of drone denial or a lot of their own information. And as mentioned with the Yokais on side, it's a very similar story, supported, of course, by Merc on this Pulse. Interestingly for the Pulse, though, Tim, no C4 on side, barbed wire instead. I haven't seen that for a while.
Interesting choice, like you say. Usually, you're going to try to get those vertical kills. Looking maybe more instead.
The information game they want.
It's information, but also can play in tandem with J9 or Hot and Cold. They both had a nitro each, and can just, tell them when to pull the trigger, essentially.
Do they know?
Fultz is going to be down in basement. He's going to be feeding information in as Coated manages to take down J9, but dpluskia, they're going to make a bit of a push for sight here. Woogieman manages to take down Merc, and they might just get away with this 5 versus 3, and it feels like SSG might just be on the back foot, might be out of control, letting this one slip through their grasp here, Des.
Forest in this long angle, it's a cry, moves away. Really thought we'd see the charge through, but you can see the pings coming out as well. SSG are aware. Faults on the flank, but no! Can't win against Woogie. Find themselves yet again, Tim, in a 4 versus 2, and it's down to a 2 versus 1! How have they let it happen for the 3rd time this map? Yes, gonna try and recover, but he's staring down the barrel of 5 seconds left on the clock. He finds 1, but Forest is nowhere to be seen. How on earth have dpluskia let that happen?
It just continues to happen is the problem, Des. You look at the score at 4-2 now. I can't make an argument for dpluskia. They've had some good play. They've had some nice kills. They've worked well at points, but I can't even make an argument that the score should be 3-3 or that they should have anything more than they have, because they've allowed that to happen too many times. That flank, we saw the flank into study from Forest. We've seen the flank there. Fultz and Forest particularly have just been an absolute nightmare for them. They haven't been able to get a grip on them.
I'm not having this, Tim.
No.
I'm not having this. That is a wind-up. How many times can it happen? That, again, you're in a 5 versus 2. and you give the round away.
But they're just throwing it away at that point.
What frustrates me, and to be fair, I don't know the Korean players that well. I don't speak Korean, so we haven't really been able to converse very much. Me and Envy Taylor sometimes talk through a translator in DMs, and that's about it. But the number of times that players will sit there and go, oh, well, we should have won that round, it was ours to win. It's like, yeah, until you didn't win it. And 3 times in that half it has happened, where SSG, again, I will give all credit to them. That kind of, I called it the Venus flytrap earlier on. They spring this trap and all their players just spring into action. They are so good at pulling things back from not just 1-man disadvantage, not even a 2-man disadvantage. It's a 3-man disadvantage time and time again. Full credit to them, but dpluskia will be ruining the fact they've given away so many, you know, dare I say, guaranteed winnable rounds.
Yep, you know, big opportunities.
Massive opportunities.
At the absolute least, and like you say, Space Station Gaming just not knowing when they're beaten today. Like I say, they've come in here and they just look sort of towards their best selves, essentially. You know, they really are making life very difficult. 40 seconds into the round, already breaching study wall, attacking onto Aviator Games. This is going to be a big telltale round now. If SSG come in, much like they did on Border, if they can kick it up a notch, if they can go to that next gear and start accelerating through this now they're on the attack, then dpluskia are in big trouble and likely are on their way out of the tournament.
Well, it looks to be a slightly slower start as well for the side of SSG. That Flores really needing about 75 seconds to get all the drones out, to clear away any utility that is desirable. You're going to see a lot of this, I imagine, throughout the rest of the competition too. The kind of Azami versus anyone who can destroy those keeper barriers that just keep on getting replaced and chunked back in. As the call comes in here from Fultz. That's both his calls down to him inside, what, 80 seconds of the round? That's pretty quick.
Just giving up one of those Selma charges there a little bit freely. Yas able to step out and just take it out, and it's a shame. It's a nice angle if you can open it up from the 90 window. Merc is going to take down Harper to kick things off. J9 onto Soldier, but there is 2 down. Woogieman and Coated managing to finish them off 3 versus 3. This is turning into a bloodbath there. Fultz manages to get Woogieman. He's looking to get the angle in through maps. He has found it on the side, but Yas steps around and gets Forrest, and now leaves us 2 versus 2. Coated knows he's going to take the fight. He's going to win the fight. Beautiful headshot onto Fultz, and that leaves it all up to Hot and Cold underneath. 1 versus 2. He's got all the time in the world, Des, but he doesn't have the manpower.
Got it all to do. He's got a couple of flashes that he can play with here, so it's not exactly the end of the world. And there's no utility left on the other side. He's got to be really careful about what he's playing into, because the answer may well prove to be a shotgun at the minute. It's an SMG. Gonna see one and finds it. Isolates the 1 versus 1. The last player, and he's got 2 flashes, as said, that he can make use of. Both come out. Doesn't see the man cross. Goes for the firefight, and Hot and Cold clutches it up for SSG. They win yet another man disadvantage round.
Hot and Cold there has just given us a lesson in patience and how to play patiently in that 1v2 situation. It was absolutely wonderful from him. I'm sure we're going to get to it in the replays, but he doesn't overcommit, Des. He goes in through maps window. He plays to the advantages that he can. So I'm going to take a little peek. I know it's a short angle into Vault, so I'm going to take my chance with the skeleton key. I don't find anybody. But the way that he flipped between gadget and rifle, depending on which engagement he thought was going to come, was fantastic. He picks up the first one into study, but then the telltale sign, the spray of shots that comes through from Vault, is all the information that Hot and Cold needs at that point, and he knows he's got him. You can see that he knows he's got him. The flashes go out, and all he has to do is wait for the man to be flushed out of Vault, and that was just absolutely classic Hot and Cold. It was beautiful play from him, 1v2. Absolutely loving that.
Quick technical rehost coming in, so we're back into game in just a second, and truthfully, I imagine dpluskia are very thankful for the small reprieve that they get here, because I haven't been keeping count, but I would love to know the count of 1vx's, or even like clutch situations, 2v3s, that sort of thing, where it's come down to either well, even like a 3v3 too included, to be fair, but situations where all things are equal or at least advantage to dpluskia that they have then lost. I imagine there's probably only 1 or 2 that they have won across this whole series, and I'll probably tally up as many as 7 or 8 potential situations like that they could have won. And this is where you're seeing the difference, right? There's probably a number of rounds that you look at and say, look, it wouldn't matter if dpluskia won that. They got slapped 7-2 on Border. It's not going to make a difference. But it's the fact that the repetitivity of it, the number of times that they're losing these rounds and these situations, it's costing them big time. And as I said earlier on, they could very well be heading home very soon. And truthfully, it's all on their own back. They start rounds so well, but just cannot hold on in those last 30 seconds.
I mean, again, it just goes, you know, I've spoken about that 1v2 from Hot and Cold's side, but look at it from dpluskia's side. I'm pretty sure when the challenge comes in onto Study Door, they've had the shotgun blast from the Skeleton Key interval. They've got a very good idea that he's on map store, but they don't challenge it together. They go and they give him the 1v1s.
That's
you
it.
can't do that. You need to just wait a second on that Study Door and let your man push himself up out of vault so that he can get the angle, so that Hot and Cold is very unlikely to be able to find both of you. But no, instead of engaging together, they go at him one at once. And yeah, at this point, you know, ultimately, Des, you don't get to move on in tournaments because you should have won a game. And that's what dpluskia are going to be in the position of tonight. You know, they're going to sit back and look at this and they're going to think, we should have won that. But you don't get to move on for that, unfortunately.
No.
At this rate, you get sent home for that.
Yeah, really it came down there to, you know, it's the blue pill or the red pill. Which way does it go? Either he's going to keep on pushing and try and challenge the player in vault, or he's going to pull back and look to take the challenge inside a Study, and they gambled wrong, essentially. But it was a really, you know, good bit of composure being shown by Hot and Cold. It's been in those situations enough to just know how to play it out better. Now, all players are back in lobby. We'll be back in things in just a moment. And in case you're curious sometimes about why these rehosts can take a bit of time, is we have to get all the players back in order. So the way that you can see them sat, we line them back up. So they have to join one at a time. It's not like all 10 players can just jump in. They have to go in kind of like, in this case, it's Coated, then Woogie, then Yas, then Soldier, then Harper. Then we go on the other side, it's Fultz, then J9O, then Forest, then Mert, then Hot and Cold, and we keep on kind of going through that process each time we have to rehost. So do bear with us on these little moments like these. It just obviously make sure we can get things back in the way nice and quickly and simply. And here we go, we're loading back in.
We're straight back in, and I said it yesterday, I think I'll say it again. I think, you know, overall the major's been very smooth so far. You know, big shout out to the admin and the technical teams and everybody behind the scenes that has kept everything
great, yeah,
running as smoothly as they have. Certainly deserve their shout, along with the production staff as well. So heading into the round very soon, we'll just make sure everything is you know, tickety-boo and that everything's okay. But as soon
we've got to work on this spinning technique, boys.
As soon as we know that it is, we will swap over. Don't worry, you won't miss a second. We're going in now, Des, to round 8. And this is so important for dpluskia. I don't honestly see any way that they win this if SSG get the match point here. For me, you look at, yeah, if you get to 6 rounds, there's no more mistakes. For me, for dpluskia, there are no more mistakes now. I think the fight back, the comeback has to start here and now. They need at least the next 2 rounds.
Well, if you recall, Tim, probably back in round 1 or 2, I said, on the last map, we got to this exact scoreline, 5-2 to SSG, and then we saw the tactical timeout called in. dpluskia haven't taken their tactical timeout, I don't believe, on this map. We're at a point where, obviously, we had the technical timeout, not the tactical timeout. The tactical being the one where players are allowed to speak. In case you haven't noticed, during technical issues, players aren't allowed to talk still. Obviously, otherwise, you could be like, oh, no, my mouse stopped working. Okay, guys, what the hell are we doing next round? It stops that kind of thing happening. You have to use your tactical to be able to have that 45 seconds or so with your coach. So, understandably, silence is demanded during the technical ones. But that hasn't been brought in here. We haven't had the chance yet to see it recovered. I'm just kind of nervous that they've missed an opportunity here to have that conversation.
Well, this is it, you know, with that technical timeout as well. It's one of them situations, you know, everybody's just alone with their own thoughts kind of thing. You know, you've just got to, and if you've had a couple of rounds where mistakes have cost them you, that's going to start to cook a little bit. That's going to start to stew in the minds. And, you know, it could be a bad thing for dpluskia, really. It could be unfortunate timing.
Alrighty. Let's see if they can bounce back at all on this one. Coated's getting out a little bit busier here on the Solus as well. Not really the kind of operator you'd see him step onto. Normally a bit of a smoke mute player, that sort of thing. Forrest is already in and being juiced up by, well, himself on the Finker, which is in and finding one. There comes Coated up for the trade. I mentioned about him on the Solus. Obviously not really using the gadgetry to find that kill, but it's a march on forward. 2 quick kills come into a 4 versus 2. But Tim, you just can't count SSG out.
At this point, we know not to, not to decide that SSG are going to lose a round, because they've shown us that that's not necessarily always the case. But these are the rounds that dpluskia have to be winning. They've got themselves good man advantage again, and they've got to take advantage. I don't want to see them pushing, chasing these kills. Let them come to you.
Okay.
J9O manages to find Yas, and he's going to look to continue to push through. And again, Des, you're in a situation now where 4v2 is now 3v2, and it starts to look winnable for SSG.
Shoots himself back up again. I mean, they've got themselves in good positions here, and dpluskia looks scared. So dug back. They've got the bulletproof camper, a little bit of help here as well, but Woogie, he wins out the 1 versus 1. That's what you wanted to see. Now it's on J9O to try and find a fire, but it's not going to happen. Woogie finds both, and dpluskia finally get around on the board once again.
I think Forrest knew that he needed to sort of get something going there. You know, decides to walk through statuary. Maybe the play, in hindsight, could have been to push, you know, into trophy door a little bit. He knows that there's a couple in there, but he's not going to get there for free, and there's the potential that there might have been utility there that I don't know about. So it's really, you know, pick your poison at that point. Go and try and get the kill from where you are, relocate. You know, there's many different options you can go for. Unfortunately, it didn't pan out for Forrest. SSG going to lose that round. dpluskia, they've got to find that as a foundation now to start building.
Maybe they just missed the opportunity previously for a tactical timeout, but dpluskia have now taken their tactical timeout. Again, thought we maybe see it at the end of the technical, but nope. They've called it in here after a round win, whilst they sit at 3 rounds to the 5 of SSG. I'd rather, again, they use it now, because if they lost this next round they're coming into, they'd be down 6-3. At that point, it feels a little bit late, but equally, maybe you're giving SSG a little bit of an int here as well. It's always the risk that you take is your tactical timeout doesn't just mean that only you get to speak to each other, it also gives the opportunity to the other side as well.
It certainly does. You know, we saw that back on border. We saw the tactical timeout come in, and we saw SSG, if anything, ramp it up a gear after that point. So, you know, yeah, certainly does work both ways. We're going to be back into round 9. It's going to be downstairs. dpluskia certainly not fancying AVG again, even though they were close, to be fair. It came down to a 1v2 that Hot and Cold had to win out, but instead they're going to choose to go down to that ground level and try to hold on to kitchen and dining.
Alrighty, the off-site, so to speak. This is where, in fact, I tell you what, Tim. I'm pretty sure when I was looking at my stats, I saw something that really surprised me. I meant to tell you, but didn't tell you. Where is...
Would you like to look it up and tell me?
No, I've got it now. Yeah, I have. So Villa has a 61% defensive win rate overall. Guess which site has the highest defensive win rate?
Kitchen and dining.
Absolutely. 74%, Tim, across 19 plays. That is ludicrous for, again, what is often considered the off-site. Trophy and statuary, by comparison, is only 48%. It's been played more, but it does explain why a lot of teams have kind of had aviator games as their primary, then they take dining and kitchen as their secondary, and some even completely swerve trophy and statuary altogether, and they go towards living and library. But the standard is definitely that trophy and statuary is the third choice site, normally in league play. Obviously here in this game it has been the secondary choice site choice, but hey, just some fun little numbers for you for the nerds out there that like their numbers, like Fresh.
I'd expect to see some vertical presence here from SSG. It wasn't something that we saw dpluskia sort of invest into heavily, but looking down there, operators, they've got 3 that have brought soft breaching charges. They've got the fuse on side as well. I'm interested to see how the fuse is used. We actually saw an interesting use from Bibu on Wolves the other day, on Clubhouse, using it across 3 levels, so actually fusing from logistics down into kitchen to actually blow open all the soft floor. You don't really have the same opportunity here because the floor you want opening is upstairs, but you could do it from a barricaded window, for example. So we'll see if they do that. We're going to have the opening kill come in. It's going to be Harper that's taken down. SSG, man advantage.
An early one as well, which is why Merc has backed away there, I imagine, to get back into a spot where he can sit back on the drones, because their main focus really, in fact he's still running around, but their focus 100% is that fuse, right? They want to get it into position, start dropping them down. The C4, ooh, a little bit of chip onto J9O. That would have been such a critical kill. And I spoke earlier on about the value of early round kills and how it can snowball towards a winner or a loss. That might be a C4 again that they look back at and say, that was the moment.
Fulch just taking the choice of a soft breach gadget to open the barricade there, so he's not stood behind it as he does it. Soldier just feeding information in. We've seen this coming not only from the Pulse, but from the Solace in previous maps that we've witnessed today being used in the same sort of way, but this time going for that heartbeat scanner. Hot and Cold going to take down Woogieman. 5 versus 3. It's not looking good for Dan Wonkira as Forrest manages to find Soldier. 5 versus 2, and this is starting to go downhill quickly. You gave us a 74% win rate for the defenders. It looks like the attackers Managers are going to find the 1 in 4 shot that they've got to close this out, but the fight starts back as Coulton manages to hit Berg, manages to down another, but taken out as Hot and Cold is there on Overwatch, ready to protect Forest.
A little bit greedy there for that second kill, but in the moment itself, you're not going to be thinking rationally all the time. Here we go, though, at a 4 versus 1. Yas has been in these situations so many times. It's weird to see one of the entry players on Dpluskia be the one left in these 1vx's time and time again. SSG take the round. They move up to match and series points for a chance to fight again for a spot on our LAN at Forum on Friday.
Oh boy, this is it for Dpluskia. They really do not have any lives left. It is now or never. They're going to have to fight their way all the way back in. Third choice site did not do the business for them. I suppose the real plus that they've got in front of them is that they do still have the primary site choice of AVG. They can go there now. They only lost it on a 1v2 clutch coming in from Hot and Cold. So surely that is a site that they can get done and get over the line. That then leaves them with Trophy Statuary to go back to as well. So there is a world where this could find itself 6-5 days, but if it does, they're going to have to go back to Kitchen and Dining, which did not go well for them. Or I guess they could take Living Room Library, but the downstairs has not been kind so far to Dpluskia.
You know what I've just realised, Tim?
What have you just realised,
I was looking across the studio at our wonderful analysts in these 3 over here, and I've realised this is the Small People broadcast. We are the 5 smallest people on the broadcast
in the studio.
I tell you what, we're in a strange world, bro. I think I'm the tallest out of the 5 of us.
Yeah, I think you might be by half an inch or so.
I'm 170, Jesse. You're smaller than me.
Jesse has no idea.
He's speaking in wrong units, that's why.
Yeah. Speaking in North American measurements.
Don't say that, you'll wind him up. An American. I
didn't say American.
You said North American?
North American.
I'll give you that.
I don't know if that phrasing's okay for Jesse. I'll ask him later.
We'll work on it afterwards. Here we go, though. Last chance saloon for Dpluskia. 3 rounds in a row they need to win to force it to overtime and even have a chance of still being in with battling in yet another best of 3 tomorrow. And that's a reminder to you. SSG win this. They don't suddenly qualify. It's not over and done. They have to win another best of 3 tomorrow. Their opponents will be determined later based on how our next 2 best of 3 goes. And every single best of 3 today, if you're an NA fan, you're going to love because it involves all American teams. Here comes Woogie Man, starting out to Hot and Cold. A good start, but as soon as you find that and as soon as you say it, Forest is there for a trade back onto Harper.
I tell you what, Hot and Cold and Forest have been working very well. I know it wasn't Woogie Man that got picked up there, but it seems like every time one of them takes a death, the other one gets a kill. They've been there to look out for each other a couple of times. I'm thinking back to Customs on Border. We just saw it in the last round there. Hot and Cold came in with the rescue for Forest, and yeah, both played around each other very, very well so far. We're going to have the drone just flying in there. The Rotero is going to take down the deployable shield. And it's going to mean that the Azami Kiba barricades come out.
I think he messed it up.
I think he did. We're going to have things not leveled up. It's the advantage SSG now, 4 versus 3 deaths. They're just flooding into site.
They are, and why wouldn't they? Soldier brings one back. Forest, though, finds his second victim of the round. Just starting this march on forward. A 2 versus 2. We've seen so many of those. Fultz finds one. Soldier has got 5 HP to his name. 5 HP and a dream, Tim.
Woogie Man, why are you sprinting there? Just straight into danger. Loses his life. Fultz picks up the final kill, and that is going to be the game for Space Station Gaming. They find themselves in a best of 3 knockout today, Des. They had the answer, and they keep fighting here in Copenhagen.
I was about to say, all right, boys, don't be too excited. It's not that you've just survived elimination, but they know that the work isn't done. There is still far more to come tomorrow. We'll cut out to a break, and when we come back, our desk will break that down for you.
They got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection, I summon and dub it. Cause I got problems on problems on problems on problems on problems on problems I solve them. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling. Phone and progression is all that I wanted. The phone and affection, I summon and dub it. Why you be all on my line about nothing? Why won't you go get you $1 or something? Don't hang with it who line for nothing. I see that we different, you riding, I double. I don't do discussions on bragging about hundreds. Don't go to your places, I know that they sunken. Don't call me your brother, I barely could trust it. I talked to a shorty, she bagging the bucket. And I'ma need all of my dollars on corporate, so hand me the money, I divvy the pie. I'ma give all of my people a portion to build them a fortune. I'm flipping the ride. I can't be mixy when iffy the vibe. And 40 on 50 is really the time. Why are you all on my phone like you want me? Like you wasn't pushing the kid to the side. I run through the money, the pressure be calling. Left on my blessings, I feel like I'm falling. The birdie is back. Tell me I'm garbage, I'm going through something, that's why I ain't calling.
Hello guys, welcome to the interview. So I want to start off with saying congratulations. That was a dominant performance on the best of 3.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So you guys came through phase 1, and I think I'm speaking from a lot of people when we're saying that there's been a lot of improvements between what we've seen from NAL, phase 1, and now here on phase 2. What's been the biggest takeaway over the last couple of 2 weeks?
Honestly, at least since we've been at this tournament, it's kind of, you really got to be on your A game, like every single day. We saw some good teams go out in phase 1, and then we started off phase 2 with a win versus G2. Obviously that felt good, and then now fast forward to today, and we like lost our last 2 matches, so kind of a lot of ups and downs for us, but I think we're finding our footing for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It does feel like it, but also moving forward, as you said it, some really great teams have already been knocked out, but some really great teams are yet to qualify or have already qualified for phase 3. So it's getting a little bit more difficult. Competitions get a little fierce. What can you do to stay in the headspace that we've seen you in today? Because it was very convincing.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to us knowing our opponent and you know, replicating our game plan that we have going into the match and going out there and executing it. And I think if we can do that, it doesn't really matter who we're playing. I think we'll give a good fight, so.
All right, what was the game plan then coming into this?
Versus these guys, I'm not gonna give too much info, I don't wanna leak too much, but they're more of like a, I would say like an older style of Siege. They play kind of more passive, more linear.
Yeah.
So, you know, we prepped for that accordingly, and it worked out well for us.
Aw, no leaks. I was hoping for a little bit. It's fine. We'll take those.
No, my coach would not be happy.
Okay, fair enough. We'll leave it at that. Tomorrow, though, you have to play a game to qualify for phase 3, and I'm assuming that is the goal.
Yeah.
You're saying it yourself. You're taking it game by game. You want to stay in that own headspace. So going back to the hotel tonight, showing up tomorrow, what's that going to be looking like?
You know, we do the same thing every day. We have the 8 a.m. wake up, we eat breakfast, we go to the gym. We prep, like we have a strict schedule. Every day is the same to us, so it's just wake up and repeat. So nothing really changes, yeah.
Well, it seems like that's been working out really well. Thank you for the interview. Appreciate it, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yep, see ya.
Cool, calm, and collected would definitely be a way to describe SSG, not just during the interview, but also during their gameplay. It felt like they had everything under lock and key.
Yeah, I mean, I think Des said it best on the cast. Job's not done, right? They're not jumping out of their seats celebrating just yet. They know tomorrow's going to be a tough game for them, whoever it ends up being that they play. So you know, lots still to grind for, to get ready for, to prepare for. But this was a good win for them. They avoid elimination. They're not going home just yet, and they should feel good about that.
I bet the North American within you is very excited and happy.
The North American within me is still very cautious because we have 2 more NA teams who are trying to avoid elimination, but it's all right. You know, it's a good start for NA. Unfortunate for Korea, that's their last representative sent home here from Copenhagen, but still, you know, not a bad run through the tournament. They did manage to find a win here in Swiss, so, you know, some positives to take away from for sure.
Yeah, there were some rounds where Dplus had a really good start of the round. They got the entry, but then, as we say, there were some rounds on the side of SSG where they were able to very successfully recover There were a few rounds that were even 2v5 situations. And
yeah, what was that?
That was crazy. I mean, it comes down to good decision making on the side of SSG and maybe a little bit less awareness on the side of Dplus.
Yeah, I mean, Fultz was talking about the game plan here a little bit. Didn't want to go too in-depth into it, but I think what we saw was like they knew that this was going to be a slow team.
Yeah.
They knew that this was going to be a team that was going to push across the whole entirety of the map when trying to take onto the top floor. They did a great job of making sure that even though they were taking a lot of ground from them, they didn't take it very quickly. They didn't give up numbers for free. And that meant that once they got to those final situations, it was hard for dpluskia to close it out because they didn't have time. The clock was always so low. It was so tough for dpluskia, which led to a lot of those throws where it goes from 5v2, 4v2, 3v2, you've lost the round. So I really think the timing of this match really favored SSG. They did a good job slowing this game down, and I think it really benefited them.
Yeah, then you look at the opposite side of the coin, it was Yas that was left on many 1vx's throughout, and he's the entry fragger. What's going on there?
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate if you have that player stuck in those 1vx engagements and not able to really solve those out. I mean, obviously, if you have SSG, what I really liked from them is they kept on making these players on the side of Dplus, leaving them guessing.
Yeah.
They had these plays where they indeed contested map control. On the other side, they had a lot of utility invested in that, a lot of players invested in that, but also plays, for example, of Merc where he gets shots while going up the red stairs, still goes all the way onto 90, C4s that hatch, runs back, just making that player guess, where is he going to be coming from? Like, is he on the hatch? He just C4'd it? Is he going to be coming down the red stairs? That leaves Dplus with little time and players in clutch situations.
Yeah, well, with that first best of 3 concluded, let's have a look at the schedule to give you guys a little bit of a reminder of what's coming up next. I mean, M80 up against M&M. Ooh. Ouch. We then have Team Liquid up against Dark Zero. And just a reminder, guys, loser of these matches goes home. I mean, if you told me that Sonics was going to be going through to phase through flying colors, but then M&M and M80 were fighting it in that lower bracket as well as Team Liquid and Dark Zero, I would tell you probably need to go check back in with your doctor.
Yeah, I mean, Dark Zero Liquid in an elimination match. That is way too early to determine for this. But, you know, they made mistakes through the Swiss format. They've both now fallen, and that's where we're at.
Yeah, well, we're also at a break, so we're going to be heading to that, and then we'll be back with the last 2 best of 3s of today. Thank you guys for tuning in.